Hey, what's up guys? Combat Critic here. In this video, I want to give my pick for this fight between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. So Alex Pereira, who is the reigning defending middleweight champion, versus Israel Adesanya, who is the former middleweight champion. These two guys are gonna meet for the second time in MMA at UFC 287. Overall, this is the fourth time these two guys are fighting in combat sports in general. They have fought twice in kickboxing, glory kickboxing, and this is the second time they are fighting in MMA under MMA rules. And Alex Pereira has won all of the three previous fights, two in kickboxing, one in MMA, and Israel has lost all the three fights. This is the fourth fight between them. This is the poster. So this is a dope poster. I have noticed every time Israel is on a poster, they make it really good. Now this time they also have Masvidal on the poster, so they had to make it good. Both these guys are the top two guys in the UFC after Conor McGregor. So we have Israel Adesanya, who's probably number 2, and we have Masvidal, who's number 3. And this is before John Jones came back. Now I think John Jones is number 2, and all these guys slipped down by one spot. So Israel is probably third biggest guy in the UFC, and Masvidal probably fourth biggest guy. I have made my picks for this fight already, so you can check out my picks for Burns versus Masvidal. I am picking Gilbert Burns. The full video is in this channel. You can search for it. Just type Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal Combat Critique. You will get it. Now let's get started for this video. So here I have the two guys, Alex Potan Pereira, Hands of Stone, versus Israel, the last style vendor, Adesanya. If we talk about some of the physical stats of these two guys, height is 6 feet 4 inches for both these guys, and even in the face-off we've seen that both these guys have pretty much similar height. We have seen that a lot of times these heights are not really accurate, but I think Alex is probably the same height as Israel Adesanya. If we talk about the weight, both will come in at 185 pounds because this is a championship fight. However, on the day of the fight, Alex is obviously the bigger fighter. Israel probably fights at around 190 195 pounds, and Alex probably comes in at 210 or something on the day of the fight, maybe 215, who knows. Reach is 79 inches for Alex Pereira and 80 inches for Israel Adesanya. So Israel will have a slight reach advantage of 1 inch. Stance is orthodox for Alex Pereira, whereas Israel is a switch stance fighter. He can do southpaw as well as orthodox. If we talk about the age, so Alex is an older fighter, whereas Israel is much younger. However, Alex does not have the same amount of experience in MMA as compared to Israel Adesanya, even though he's the older guy. He was fighting in kickboxing for a long time, whereas Israel transitioned to MMA back in, I think, 2015 or something. So he has more fights in MMA. Now let's talk about some of the striking numbers of these two guys. So first we have strikes landed per minute, which signifies the number of significant strikes that you land on your opponent per minute on average. So that is 5.23 for Alex Pereira and 3.93 for Israel Adesanya. So we see that Alex has an advantage. He is the busier guy on the feet. Striking accuracy is 59% for Alex and 50% for Israel. So again, Alex has the better strikes. He has the accuracy. Now if we talk about the strikes absorbed per minute, which is 3.63, so this number tells you the number of significant strikes that you absorb from your opponent per minute on average. 3.63 for Alex, whereas it is 2.8 for Israel. So the lower number in this is better because you are absorbing less strikes from your opponent. So in this, Israel will have an advantage. He gets hit a lot less than Alex Pereira. We already know from his fights, Israel is a pretty safe and conservative guy. He doesn't like to get, caught up in situations where he could get KO'd or something. Even though Alex finished him, but still Israel is a very safe guy. Striking defense is 53% for Alex Pereira and 58% for Israel. So again, striking defense advantage goes to Israel. Overall in the striking, if we talk about the offensive part, which is strikes landed per minute and the striking accuracy, these two numbers favor Alex Pereira, whereas if we talk about the defensive numbers, which is strikes absorbed per minute and the striking defense, so these two numbers favor Israel. So Israel is better at defense and Alex is better in offense. Now let's talk about some of the wrestling, grappling and submission statistics. So takedown average is 0.33 for Alex Pereira, whereas it is just 0.06 for Israel Adesanya. So Israel really doesn't go for the takedown, it is usually Alex. So Alex will have an advantage in this. Takedown accuracy is 100% for Alex. I think this is because Alex has so many less fights that it is coming out to be 100%. Actually, Alex is not that great of a wrestler as this stat is telling. And if you look at the takedown accuracy of Israel Adesanya, it's really bad at 14%. I don't think I have seen a lesser takedown accuracy in any of the other fighters that I have analyzed on this channel. So takedown accuracy advantage obviously goes to Alex Pereira, even though this number is a little bit off because he has had so less number of fights. Takedown defense is 73% for Alex, whereas it is 77% for Israel. So one thing that Israel does very well is stuff the takedowns of his opponents. He has done that in the past against a lot of guys. Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vittori, just to name a few, and his takedown defense is really good. Even though Alex is pretty close at 73%, both guys are similar, but slight advantage goes to Israel Adesanya. He is very good at avoiding the bottom position, and even if you take him down, he usually just springs back up. Submission average is 0 for Alex, whereas it is 0.2 for Israel. I don't think Israel has any submission attempts on his resume, so I'm just gonna ignore this number. Nobody really has a submission advantage. I don't think anybody will win this fight via submission. I don't think these guys will look to submit each other. Now let's look at the record of these two guys. So starting with the champion Alex, he has 8 fights total, 7 wins and just 1 loss, 6 by knockout, just 1 by decision, and the loss which he has, just 1 loss, that too by submission. Now compare that to Israel Adesanya, the former middleweight champion. He has had 25 fights and 23 wins and 2 losses. And if we talk about these 25 fights, we see that he has almost more than 3 times the experience that Alex Pereira has. So Alex is really unskilled when it comes to MMA. That is why in their first fight he was an underdog, and he probably is still the underdog. I'll show you the odds in a moment. So significantly more experience for Israel Adesanya in MMA. 23 wins, just 2 losses. Out of these 23 wins, 15 by knockout, 8 by decision. Out of the 2 losses, 1 by knockout, which is the loss that he got from this guy right here by knockout, and 1 by decision, which he lost to Jan Blachowicz. Those are the only 2 losses. Here are the odds for this fight. Alex Pereira, the champion, is an underdog at plus 135, and Israel Adesanya is the favorite at minus 155. I kind of agree with these odds, even though I'm not a fan of Adesanya, but I still think that he is very smart, very technical, very defensive fighter, and he, even in the previous fight, so this is the 4th fight between 2 guys. If I tell you about the first fight, I think the first fight was a robbery. Israel Adesanya won that fight in my opinion, but the judges gave it to Alex Pereira. The second fight, Alex KO'd Izzy, but up till that point, Izzy was winning on the scorecards, and this is the same story of the third fight also. Izzy was winning on the scorecards, but then Alex came out and finished Adesanya, knocked him out, and the only guy to knock Israel Adesanya out in kickboxing as well as MMA, that is Alex Pereira. He has a lot of power. He is the bigger guy, and I think that this man is probably the hardest hitting guy in the UFC right now, especially considering that Francis Ngannou has left the UFC, and now there's not really any guy who has one punch knockout power. I mean, Jiri can knock out a lot of people, and he is knocking out a lot of people, but the power of Jiri and the power of Alex is different. I think Alex has more power, whereas Jiri probably he I don't think he has the same power as Alex has. Alex, if he touches you, you turn into stone and you it lights out for you instantly. Whereas Jiri it usually takes a few punches or maybe something like a spinning elbow or something back, something like that. But for Alex, if he catches you with his left hook, it's over. Now let's look at some of the past performances of these two guys. If we talk about the champion Alex, so last fight he TKO'd Israel Adesanya in the 5th round. So the first round of this fight, Israel actually had him hurt in the end of the round. Second round was a good round for Alex. Third round, Alex took down Israel Adesanya, but Adesanya reversed that position and got on top, and he really won the round by being on top and uh, did some ground and pound. Fourth round, Alex Pereira was totally gassed out. That was a total round for Israel Adesanya. Fifth round, Alex Pereira recovered in between rounds beautifully, and in the last round, he actually came back and knocked out the champion to become the champion. And great fight. He's a great fighter. Before that, he knocked out Sean Strickland in the first round. First time Sean Strickland has been finished at middleweight, and this is the guy who did it in the first round. Made it look really easy. Before that, he went to a decision against Bruno Silva. This was a 3-round fight. So Bruno Silva is a good striker. Really, he has a kickboxing career, really solid chin. Alex Pereira could not crack that chin, and he won a unanimous decision against Bruno Silva. Before that, against Andreas Michailidis, he TKO'd him in the second round. This is the debut of Alex Pereira in the UFC. So you see very few fights in the UFC this guy has. Before that, he just fought once in the LFA, where he finished his opponent in the first round via KO. And before that, we see another TKO, another KO, and this is the first fight, his pro MMA debut, and he lost via rear naked choke in the third round. So this is the only loss that Alex has, and it came in his first pro fight. So overall, this guy does not have the MMA experience, nor does he have the UFC experience, but he has a lot of experience in beating this guy right here. He has done it twice via finish, and one time which was a bit controversial because I think that Israel won the first fight. Now let's talk about Israel Adesanya's record. Some of his previous fights. So he just lost to Alex via TKO in the 5th round. He was doing good, winning on the scorecards and executing his game plan beautifully, but then Alex Pereira caught him and finished him. I don't think this was a bad stoppage. And before that, he won a clear-cut, one-sided, boring decision against Jared Cannonier. Again a boring unanimous decision against Robert Whittaker. This is why Israel has a lot of haters right now. It's because of these boring unanimous decision wins that he has. And before that, another boring unanimous decision win. All these are 5-round fights against Marvin Vettori. So all these fights really, instead of putting his stock higher, it really brought his stock down, and now a lot of people are hating Adesanya and picking this man to win because he is an exciting fighter, unlike Israel Adesanya. Israel was very exciting when he came to the UFC, but over time he has become a kind of a boring person where he'll not go for the finish. He'll rather beat you by points, and that is fine if you are a champion. I don't really have a problem with that kind of style. Before that, he moved up to 205 to become a double champion, but he was stopped by Jan Blachowicz. He lost a unanimous decision in a 5-round fight. So Jan is also a big guy like Alex Pereira. So one clear trait we are seeing is that Israel has problem with bigger guys. All these guys that he has beaten, Jared Cannonier, Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori, Paulo Costa, all these are smaller guys than him, and the 2 losses he has had against Alex and Jan, these are bigger guys, and Israel has a problem finishing or beating bigger opponents. He is beating smaller guys. Before that, he KO'd Paulo Costa via TKO in the second round. but Paulo is a pretty small guy compared to Israel Adesanya. Only these two guys are bigger than Izzy, and he lost to both of them. So this is one trait we are seeing, that Izzy suffers against people who are bigger than him, whether it be Jan Blachowicz or Alex Pereira. Also, I think the mind game factor is really favoring Alex Pereira, wherein like even though Alex Pereira doesn't talk trash too much, but still Israel knows that he can get finished by Alex in the last round, and he has been finished twice in the last two fights. So I think it's all mental now, and Israel is probably fearing this man right here, even though he'll not accept it, he'll never say it. But you know, when you get 0-3 against a guy, and this guy, you couldn't finish him in the first fight. Yes, it was a robbery, but you couldn't finish him in the second. This man actually finished you. Doesn't matter if you are winning the fight or not, he finished you. Then you come to MMA, you start doing good, you become a champion, you beat all these legends, you beat Anderson Silva. You think that okay, now I'm a great fighter, now I have improved more than this guy. Then you see the news that this guy Alex Pereira has joined the UFC. He wins his first fight, he wins his second fight, he KOs Sean Strickland. Then you think that okay, fine, I'll give him a title shot. And how bad can it be? I'm the champion, I beat so many legends. But guess what? This man again finishes you in your own game and gets the belt from you yet again, and you lost once again, and now it's 0-3. I think these things must be really troubling Israel Adesanya, even though the odds are favoring Israel Adesanya, and I kind of see why, but I am picking the winner of this fight, Alex Potan Pereira, hands of stone. I think in the previous fight, Alex had a really bad weight cut, and in the first round, Israel hurt him. He was almost about to go down, but the bell saved him. In the third round, Israel got on top and really gassed out Alex. In the fourth round, Alex was totally gassed out. Still, he was able to finish Israel in the fifth. Now imagine if one of these things would have gone in favor of Alex, if the weight cut was good, if he didn't get rocked at the end of the first round, and if Israel didn't wrestle him in the third round and drain all his energy, then I think Alex would have finished him a lot sooner. So I think in this fight, he will have a better weight cut and he will not get rocked, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a first or second round finish by Alex Potan Pereira. Also, I think his confidence is at an all-time high because he has beat Israel thrice now, and out of these 3 times, 2 times by finishes. So I think Israel's confidence is an all-time high, and Alex's confidence is at an all-time high, and Israel is probably, Alex is probably in Israel's head. So for these reasons, I am picking Alex Potan Pereira by knockout, most likely in the second round. So I am picking a second round KO finish for Alex Potan Pereira. I don't think this will be a close fight. It will be a swift finish by Alex. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video.